Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, one or two still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to Penguin Live TV. My name is Stephen. I'm going to be your host this evening, and joining me we have the wonderful Sue.
Hello, everyone. So as usual, I will be reading through your comments and your questions, and we will endeavour to answer some of your wonderful questions. If you have any guesses for last night's number of penguins, please pop it in the comments, and then we'll give away the final number soon. And remember, we get locked down, but we will huck again.
I think that's from one of the movies and song titles that people were doing on, I think it was Jordan's stream a couple of days ago. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. So if you haven't heard, we're going to start off by just mentioning the restrictions that have been put in place. So from 8 p.m. onwards tonight in Victoria, we do have some restrictions in place. The Penguin Parade will be closed tomorrow. You can see on the screen we do have a few people on the stands. We are closing at 6 or 7 tonight. I should have probably checked with the manager on site about the exact time, but we will be closing down before the restrictions come into place. We don't know if Penguin Live TV is going to be continuing or not yet. We hope so, but we need to figure out what the restrictions are for that before we can give you a firm answer. We will know tomorrow if Penguin Live TV is going to continue. Check the social media pages. You should be able to find some information there tomorrow. And we will continue to look after our animals here at the Penguin Parade and here on Phillip Island. Those are essential services that we do provide. We have to keep open to keep doing those things. Otherwise, the animals will suffer if we are not here. So we will continue looking after all the animals. Have no fear. I really hope we get to keep doing Penguin Live TV because it is so much fun. And it's a bit of a shining beacon during some of the darker times we may get. And, I love sharing these penguins with you guys. And, they might not solve all the problems in the world, but they do help to brighten up it a little bit. So thanks for tuning in tonight, and let's have a wonderful evening with our lovely little blue friends, the Little Penguins. Now, in case we have any new viewers who have never actually seen Penguin Live TV before, maybe you heard about it and you wanted to just tune in to see what this is all about, we're waiting for our little penguins to cross the beach. Some people call them the fairy penguins. We call them little penguins, just a different name for the same bird. And these little penguins are about 33 centimeters tall, and they're waiting until sunset to cross the beach. So we've got this live camera feed just down here. You'll see me moving the camera around a little bit. I can zoom in and out. I'll be trying to follow all the penguins that are coming home tonight and telling you a little bit about what they're going to be doing. Now, our penguins wait until the sun goes down because in the daytime there are predators who hunt penguins if they're out on the land. And penguins are safest when they are in the water, which is fantastic. And these penguins will be coming home to Phillip Island. This is where they were born, or where they were hatched, not necessarily born. And this is where they come back every time. And the traditional name of this land is Malal. And here come the wonderful little penguins right on time. Fantastic. I think it's 6:04, 6:05. They'll be crossing this beach. Perfect timing. We love when our penguins are punctual. Now, we're going to get you guys to have a guess as to how many penguins are in this group. I'm going to keep the camera nice and stable here. You can test your skills against our penguin counter. They will let you know how many penguins they counted in this group, and you can compare your numbers. So type your best guess in the comments. We've got guesses for how many penguins came last night and how many penguins are in this group right now. And once this group is done crossing the beach, we'll have a bit of an answer to all your questions and burning desires to know how many penguins there are. But this wonderful island is called Malal by the Bunurong, the traditional custodians of the land. And we always take our time to acknowledge their elders, both past, present, and emerging. Fantastic. I do have to move the camera, sorry. Otherwise, the penguins are going to go out of screen, out of view. And braving the beach right now, one large group. I love to see it when there's lots of penguins coming out of the ocean. It's just fantastic. And these little guys are doing their dangerous dash across the beach, keeping an eye out on the sky in case there's any birds of prey that are still around in the late evening. It's very unlikely. If you saw the sky earlier, you would have noticed some dark clouds. It is on and off raining. There's a little bit of wind. Not ideal conditions for our birds of prey. So these penguins should be pretty safe as they cross the beach tonight. And here they go, coming up onto the rocks. I love that. So Sue, do we have any good guesses for how many penguins were last night?
We had the most amazing guess from some very optimistic water watcher of 6,789.
Wow, not even I'm not optimistic. Now, every night we do have a penguin lotto to guess how many penguins are going to come home on the night before they start arriving. I always take the most optimistic guess. I think I guessed, 1,000 tonight, or maybe 2,000 tonight. Definitely not 6,000. That's we've never had a number of 6,000 penguins cross our beach, but I hope we do one day. But how many did we have?
Okay, so last night's number was 895.
Very good. So I probably would have won the lottery last night if I was here at the Penguin Parade. Unfortunately, it was my night off, so I didn't get the chocolate bar. But tonight, fingers crossed, looking at this first group, maybe I'll get the chocolate bar. Wonderful. Now, did the Penguin Counter tell us how many were in that first group?
In that group, we had a fantastic first group of 230.
230 penguins.
That's a very good start. We're off to a good start.
I love it. That's a great number to see coming across. And here they go. They're making their way, plodding along through the puddles. All these lucky viewers last night that were open before the restrictions come into effect. They're going to enjoy their night here watching these penguins making their way across the beach. Now, when this puddle is deep enough, or sometimes we call it a little pond, when it's deep enough, the penguins love to swim across it. Right now, you can see a lot of them are on their bellies trying to swim across. It's not deep enough, guys. You're going to have to waddle your way through it. And these lovely little penguins are going up the hill. I always love how the first group tends to go up this little hill, forming a nice queue. Now, earlier tonight, I did see the goose somewhere around this area. There it is. Oh, dear. Oh dear, there's a goose in the pathway. Who's going to win this standoff? It's a tricky one. And right above my head on the little screen, you can see the penguins coming up the highway and also the penguins going up the hill. I might swap over really quickly because I love the Penguin Highway, getting these really beautiful close-ups. I'm keeping an eye on the screen above my head, trying to see if those penguins are going to make a brave dash by the goose. And there go our lovely little penguins splashing their way through the puddles. The sounds that these guys make when they're going through these puddles is quite unusual. I love listening to their little plap, 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 plap as they go through the puddles. That sound never gets old. And when we open up again in the future, hopefully after a week, we would love to share the sound effects with you if you can come visit us in person. All right, let's swap back over to the main camera. I don't know if these penguins are going to make a brave passing of this goose. Ooh, come on, little penguins, be brave. Or not. You know, it's a big scary goose. Even though you got the numbers, that big goose can hold its own. Now, for those who are worried about our penguins, please don't be too worried. These geese are herbivores. They're not the nicest. They're not the friendliest of animals, especially when it comes to little penguins. They sometimes like to bully them around, but they're definitely not going to eat them. They just want to show them who's boss. Uh-oh, the goose is going up the hill. Make a run for it, little guys. Get back down. Ooh, that's a bit scary. That goose is looking at you. All right. No dramas there. Just a little bit of a look at each other, making sure that everything is all right. Everybody's keeping their distance. Very respectable, these little animals, socially distancing from each other. They're doing the right thing. No naughty behaviors from either ones. Love to see it. All right, let's head back to the beach. All right, I'm gonna just have a quick look to see if there's any penguins on the water's edge. Oh, we got Ebony in very, very bright colors in the bottom left of the screen. She's in her high-vis gear, rainproof jacket. She was doing a dance for us earlier tonight. We'll see if we can get her to do another dance on TV tonight. Now, I love these rocks. The other live streamers, they like to call it the salon. I just call them the resting rocks. I'm not as imaginative as they are. But these penguins, after they've crossed the dangerous parts of the beach and they've made the safety of these rocks up onto the sand dunes, they have a bit of a rest. There is no real hurry for our penguins to get home in the evening. There might not be anything waiting for them at home. It's not necessarily the breeding season. There shouldn't be any eggs in the colony. There might be here and there, but they be the exceptions to the rule. It's pretty quiet in the colony, and they're just having a bit of a rest on these rocks. And maybe a bit of a socializing on these rocks. Sometimes you'll see our penguins preening their feathers, and occasionally they might preen each other as well. These penguins, they might not even know each other, but that doesn't stop them from helping each other out, preening their feathers and making sure they had a nice waterproof coating of feathers on their bodies. Very meticulous preeners are penguins. Oh, fantastic. I just love these little guys doing what they do naturally everywhere in Australia when they come home.
Now, Steve and Renee was wondering, why do they wait until sunset to cross the beach?
That is a great question. I'm just going to swap the camera to the highway. Why do our penguins wait until sunset to cross the beach? And the reason they're waiting until sunset is because in the daytime, there are predators on land that will try to eat little penguins. All of the native predators that our penguins face on land are diurnal, meaning they're awake during the daytime and they sleep at night. So our penguins, they're not nocturnal birds. They're not diurnal birds. They're not awake only in the day or the night. There's something a little funny. They're called polyphasic, which means they sleep both day and night. And so our penguins, because they're not restricted on when they can come home by their sleep patterns, they're going to come home when it's safe. They're going to wait for the sun to go down. They're going to make sure all those big scary birds of prey go home to roost for the night, go home to sleep, and they will cross the beach in the safety of darkness. And these little penguins, as I said, they're only about 30 centimeters tall, which does mean that crossing the beach when it's still light outside does create a bit of danger for them because any large raptor bird can easily grab one of these little penguins. They don't weigh much. Ooh, hello. They don't weigh much and about 1 kilogram in weight. And a bird can easily pick them up and take them home for dinner in the worst possible way for a little penguin. So they're clever. They're going to be waiting until darkness, and then they're going to cross the beach with the safety of numbers. The safety of darkness and the safety of numbers. Because if you're a predator and you happen to swoop down on a group of 100 penguins. I don't know how many are in this group, but let's say there's around 100 or so penguins in that group. There's a whole lot of sharp pointy beaks pointing upwards towards the sky that might clip you when you're trying to grab a penguin. So predators are generally not going to take on large numbers of animals. They'd rather go for the individual. So our penguins, they gather up into a small, tightly packed group. For the most part, you get a few stragglers here and there. And we call these groups, affectionately call these groups little waddles of penguins.
Oh, there was a really good size in that group. It was 132.
132. That's why I'm not counting tonight. I just estimated around 100. Hopefully, when I count through the binoculars, I'm much more accurate than when I'm trying to talk and count at the same time. I'm one of those men who is not possible. It's not possible for me to multitask, so I guesstimate. When I'm doing Penguin Live TV, it's really tricky trying to count penguins as they're crossing the beach. Alrighty, I'm just waiting for some more penguins to come up the highway, but for now, I'm just keeping an eye on the beach and everything else. Do we have any more questions, Sue?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Simone was wondering if the shell gritters go into the water at night.
Fantastic question. So Simone's wondering about our shell gritters. And if you don't know what a shell gritter is, it is a female with egg. They go down to the beach to eat the shell grit in the sand. It's very high in calcium, helps to harden their egg shells. So we often see at night penguins going the wrong direction. They're going towards the beach rather than coming home from the beach. And the shell gritters, they generally don't go into the water too much. They're not going to be going out fishing, if that's what you're wondering. But let me swap over to the highway camera. I think there they come. Fantastic. Sorry, I have to click a whole bunch of buttons to get the cameras to swap. So they generally won't go swimming too much, but that doesn't stop them from actually jumping into the water a little bit, and especially on those hot summer days when anything over 35 degrees is quite dangerous for our little penguins. They overheat quite easily. And if we're getting to those temperatures of 30, 35 degrees, you can bet that the penguins are going to dip into the cooler waters to help them cool down, because being too hot is quite dangerous for them. So yes, they will go into the water, but they're not going to be going fishing too much, because shell gritters, they're getting close to when they're about to lay their eggs. They're actually given all the calcium from their, I think it's their bone marrow has gone into their eggs, and they're trying to replenish their calcium. They got the cravings. They're very low on calcium. They've given it all to the eggs, so they've got to replenish it some way they can. And because they're giving all the calcium to their eggs, it means their eggs are pretty much ready to go. So they're not going to be going out fishing, if that's what you're wondering. But they will take little dips into the water, maybe help them cool off, or maybe they just miss being out on the water. Oh dear, I just saw a large group on the Penguin Highway coming our way. Ooh, I've almost missed you guys. Oh, I always need help controlling these cameras. There's too many things happening in the penguin colony, which is fun.
Kaylee's got a joke for you, Stephen.
Oh, we got a joke. I love jokes.
So, it's, why don't you ever see penguins in Great Britain?
Why don't you see penguins in Great Britain? I don't know.
Because they're scared of whales.
Because they're scared of whales. Oh, I'm definitely going to use that in the future. I love that one. That's a good one. Oh, thank you for the joke. That was Kaylee?
Yeah, Kaylee.
Thanks, Kaylee. I love penguin jokes. I've been struggling over the years to come up with as many penguin jokes as I can. And sometimes they're a little bit tricky, but I think if I'm ever running a tour in the future and I have somebody from Great Britain on one of my tours, they're definitely getting that joke. I'll try and credit you when I tell it for the first time, too. Thanks, Kaylee. All right, not much happening. Oh, there is actually something happening on the beach. I'm just going to pop over there and just have a quick look to see what's going on, because there's another group crossing the beach. Ooh, that's another decent-sized group. Fantastic. I love to see this. Now, this camera position is on our Penguins Plus pathway. So if you do come to the Penguin Parade, I always recommend getting the Penguins Plus tickets. That's where you get the most amount of penguins. I like to say around 60, maybe 70% of our total number of penguins across this beach come up on this one pathway. And they're very good at showing up in large groups. Whereas the other pathways, you might get groups of 2s or 3s, maybe 5 or 10 if you're really lucky. But on this one, you're getting those groups of maybe 100 penguins, 200 penguins crossing the beach. It's quite special. Maybe later tonight I'll scan around, show you the rest of the beach where the penguins will be coming up. I know a lot of our rangers are very happy to be working tonight, those that are here, because in the future when we're having the restrictions, we won't have the rangers on the stands. We will have 1 or 2 rangers here counting the penguins. We count our penguins every night. It is part of the ongoing research that we do here. It is important to our research department to know the trends of our penguins, how many penguins are coming home each night. And while our penguin count might not be 100% accurate, it does give us a very, very good estimate of the total numbers of penguins coming home. And if something drastic was to start happening to our penguin numbers, say we're expecting maybe 1,000 penguins to come home in winter, give or take a little bit, of course, and we start getting 4,000 penguins crossing the beach, and it happens night after night after night, our researchers are going to be thinking something strange is happening. What's going on there? Ooh, let's swap to the highway. So we have to keep monitoring our penguins, because if we don't, we might miss out on these interesting little tidbits that happen. And changes do happen in nature quite quickly. So we always have to keep an eye on what's happening in the penguin colony, because without the information, our researchers just don't know what's happening. Oh, I love these little guys. This has got to be my favorite camera that we use, just getting these close-ups of these penguins and then watching their little cute little penguin booties go on down the highway.
And while we are seeing them so close there, Erica wanted to know why they've got their wings out while they're walking.
Ooh, why do they have their little flippers out while they're walking, their wings out? I could have a guess at that. I don't actually know the answer. I just always assumed it was for balance, but I'd actually need to ask a researcher to see if that's really the case. Maybe it's just a natural position that they like to hold it. It's the most comfortable position, but that's a great question. You've asked one that I'm not 100% sure on. I've got guesses. Just be educated guesses. It's not hard and true facts. You couldn't.
Maybe just a power walking.
Power walking, yeah. I think that was on the Olympics today. I love watching the Olympics. I always like to compare how our penguins swim compared to the fastest human swimmers, and our penguins have got the fastest human swimmers beat, hands down. Flippers down, if you like. Oh, there's nothing on the main camera. Let's see if we can have a look around, spot some more penguins. I always like to say, Ian Thorpe, eat your heart out. Our little penguins can outswim you almost in their sleep. They are great little swimmers. I'm going to do a quick scan across our beach for those who might be curious. We got Ebony and Jordan. Oh, there's Lindsay. He's our security guard. Always doing his best to keep us safe here at the Penguin Parade. Oh, that's very bright. Got the main stands over here. And for those of you who are wondering, we've got this ramp that's built up in between the two stands. We had some bad cliffing happening earlier, but we got the excavators out. We've made the ramp back again. Hopefully the large high tides or the big swells, they're not going to knock it down again and create more cliffing. So our penguins have easy access into the colony again.
Oh, look at that. It looks beautiful. It looks like one of those ski slopes.
Yeah, it does. Oh, that rain is starting to come in and people are starting to leave the stands. So friendly tip for anybody who's thinking of coming to see our penguins. It does rain here. There's no cover out on the stands. Please bring your wet weather gear. Please bring your warm winter jackets because it gets quite chilly here in the evening and it does tend to get a bit rainy and wet, especially during our winter months. And sometimes the heavy downpours, they last for 2 or 3 minutes and then they're gone, but it doesn't stop them from getting soaked. Another lovely group here. As we're watching, do we have any more penguin questions?
Well, we have a very funny bunch of viewers this evening.
Oh, good.
Danielle has said, or has asked, where do penguins go to watch movies? The dive-in.
The dive-in. Oh, I love that. Oh, that's great.
Thanks for making us laugh, especially tonight.
I really love penguin jokes. I'm going to get to use so many more. Oh, that's fantastic. The dive-in. I'm going to definitely use that one. All right, so these little penguins, definitely braving the weather right now. Doesn't matter if it's rain or shine. Well, it doesn't matter if it's shining. It doesn't matter if it's clear or raining to our penguins. They will come home in all types of weather conditions. As we said, I think last time I was doing the stream, the only kind of weather condition that does tend to impact our penguins is fog. Maybe a month ago, we had about 28 penguins, 26 penguins. I forget the number, sorry.
It was 28, I think.
28, thank you. 28 penguins that crossed the beach in a single night. And that was with the help of Penguins Plus counting. Ooh, Bandicoot. Hello? Zoom in on this little cute little marsupial. That was with Penguins Plus helping our penguin counter to count that evening. So the penguins, they really, really don't like the fog. Now, moving off from the penguins for a little bit, because I love these bandicoots. We got here an Eastern Barred Bandicoot. The barred means their bums have those little bars on them, which is why they're called the Barred Bandicoot. These guys have, I think I mentioned it last time I did a stream. Ooh, you're too fast for me, little bandicoot. Stay with me. Oh, you're going to drink from the puddle? Or are you going to go swimming? These little bandicoots, they went extinct in the wild. They have since been upgraded to critically endangered, which is fantastic. Fantastic news. And that's thanks to the work we do here at the Phillip Island Nature Parks. We are a conservation organization. Our job is to help take care of the native animals here on Phillip Island. We includes the penguins, even the geese, the Eastern Barred Bandicoots, all of those lovely animals that belong here in Australia. We do our best to give them a safe place to call home, and we helped work with the Melbourne Zoo to give our Eastern Barred Bandicoots a safe place to call home here on Phillip Island. And their numbers have grown from, I think it was around 67 that we released into the colony of penguins here on Phillip Island just a few years ago. And the last estimate I heard was maybe around 300, maybe more, because the last time I heard that estimate was quite a while ago. So those numbers are growing, which is just fantastic to see. Quite a bit of a success story. And if you wanted to help us, especially during our restriction phase here in Victoria, because you can't come here in person, if you wanted to help us look after our animals, you could always make a donation to our Penguin Foundation, our charity organization, where we accept donations where you can adopt an animal. It can be a penguin, it can be a bandicoot, and that money will go back into a lot of the conservation work we do here. It goes into our animal wildlife clinic, where we take care of sick or injured animals. And it really does help us to continue our work of supporting the local wildlife here on Phillip Island. We've got a little group of penguins just coming out of the water here, not quite as big as the first groups that we saw coming. So our numbers are definitely starting to drop in size, and that does tend to happen around the 20-minute mark, maybe the half an hour mark on a good night. Groups of penguins get smaller and smaller. Most of them were on the water's edge. As I say that, there's another group behind them. Penguins, they love to prove me wrong. But that's great. I love being proved wrong, especially when I say the numbers are getting smaller and smaller in the evening. But as the night does go on, groups do eventually get smaller and smaller until eventually all the penguins have returned home, maybe a couple hours after sunset. Fantastic. I love these little guys making their way across the beach. Hopefully they'll join up and form one nice group.
Stephen, Jamila was wondering what the rangers do during the day.
Oh, it depends what type of ranger you're talking about. We have so many different types of rangers here at the Phillip Island Nature Parks. Now we have the parade rangers who are here in the evening helping to talk all things penguins with our guests. And some of us, we do run tours in the daytime, maybe to the koalas or on Churchill Island or to the knobbies. We even do school group talks from time to time. Others of us, this is our nighttime job. We might have a different job in the daytime, so we might be doing other work not related to looking after the penguins. But we have a conservation department where they are out doing a lot of revegetation work, weed removals, making sure the place is a good place for our little penguins. It takes a lot of work to make this habitat healthy for our penguins and for the native wildlife, because there are a lot of weeds here on Phillip Island, a lot of invasive plants that are spreading and making the habitat less useful for our penguins and our native wildlife. So we got a lot of work there. We've got our pest control officers who are out making sure that the invasive feral animals aren't encroaching onto the territory too much. They help to get rid of all the foxes here on Phillip Island, so we're now fox-free, which is why we released the bandicoots here on Phillip Island, because the foxes made them go extinct in the wild in the past. We got the research department who are out studying, keeping an eye on our penguins, keeping a lot of data collections, always doing work, making sure that we have the answers that our viewers and everybody who comes here to see our penguins love to know all the answers about our penguins. We always get asked these questions that kind of stump us, and it's great. Sometimes we can pass along some questions to our researchers, maybe give them a little bit of a head scritcher as they try and answer it as well. But they're teaching us, our researchers are teaching us so much about what our penguins are doing, both on land and in the ocean, the best ways we can help to protect their habitat, what our penguins need. Because if we just assume what penguins need, ooh, hello, bandicoot. You're going to disappear again, aren't you? Under the stands, some lucky viewers. Oh, hello, where are you going? Oh, I bet you're going to show up on the highway. Let's see if I can, oh, I need to swap the camera, don't I? Ooh, Penguin Highway. Where'd that bandicoot go? Oh, I don't know if I saw it or not. That's unfortunate. I was hoping to get a nice close-up of them. I'm sure some of you eagle-eyed viewers have probably spotted where the bandicoot went, but I won't be able to find them in time. That's all right. The bandicoots are here. They are happy. And they've got this lovely little habitat to call their own. They share it with the penguins, and they don't tend to get into any fights. Not that I've ever seen anyways. I'm sure if a bandicoot was to sneak into a penguin burrow, the penguin would be quite upset by that and show them who's boss. But as long as the bandicoots learn to stay out of penguin burrows, I can't imagine they'd ever get into any squabbles. All right, probably winding down now. We might just have about 5 minutes left before the end of the count. Before we do sign off for the night, do we have any more questions, Sue?
What have we got? Whereabouts is the penguin's microchip located?
Oh, fantastic question.
Erica was wondering that.
Erica, great question. Yeah. So we do microchip some of our penguins, and their microchips are located on the back of their neck. So it's a bit hard to get a good zoom in on the back of their necks from such a distance, but right on the back of their neck, we just put a little microchip in, the same kind of microchip you put in a dog or a cat. It's an identifier, lets us know who the penguin is. So if we see them more than once, we can keep track of them. We have a bit of a health record for them, and lets us know their details. Maybe when they were hatched, if we were there when they were hatched. So we know how old they are, know their gender. We know if they've had any problems in the past. Maybe they were underweight for a long time, or maybe they were overweight. Maybe they had a sprained ankle. Lots of information that you can keep about penguins. And when we do any data samples as well, like Jordan loves to go out collecting poo for our researchers, she knows who the poo belongs to, because it's no good just knowing what a penguin is eating if you don't really make a story out of it to have more data. So those microchips are very useful. We keep all sorts of records on our penguins. Love that question. That was from Erica.
Mm-hmm.
Great question, Erica. Thank you.
That was a really good question.
All right, looks like the numbers are starting to wind down, so we might wind down as well. Just a few little penguins on the beach left. These guys will likely be making their way home, crossing the beach very soon. I do want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight. I know we had some bad news today with all the new restrictions announced. I desperately hope we get to keep Penguin Live TV running over the next little while. It is a certain joy in my life doing Penguin Live TV. I know a lot of you viewers who come in night after night also enjoy it. So fingers crossed this is something that's allowed to continue to go on. But if not, I hope to see you in person in the very near future. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone. See ya. Stay safe. Bye.